Hey guys, today we're talking about beef. We're going to talk about what we use, why we use it, and how we cut steaks. Today we're using Creekstone Farms ribeye. This is the ribeye that we use here. If you want to learn a little bit more about Creekstone Farms, check out this link right here. They're one of the best cattle raisers in the country, and I think you'll find out a lot of great information about them. So basically, your ribeye is the front part of the loin. You got ribeye, strip loin, and then it goes into your sirloins. So when we open up this cryovac here, we always start on the bottom and open it up. If you open it on the top and you put a cut on this top side, when you cook those steaks, they're going to start butterflying open just where that little nick is. So to open up the cryovac, make sure you have a very sharp knife. I keep the blade turned up away from the meat because I don't want to scar it at all. And then it comes off fairly easy. Okay, we're going to pull this out of here. Do it in such a way I'm not going to get blood all over my counter. I'm going to fold that up nicely. Place there. Okay. So that's our ribeye. That's our whole primal cut. So at the restaurant, we do a lot of trimming. So we're going to take off some of this top trim here. This is almost like a silver skin. It's a tough part of the beef. I'm going to trim this right off of here. Get all this unnecessary, unusable fat off of here. And then for our tail, we want to do about 3/4 to an inch tail on these. So we're going to go right down through the tail. I'm going to take that off of there. And as you can see, we trimmed off a lot of that tail right there. Okay. Take off some more of this. Take off some of this. Trim this down a little bit. Okay. So now this guy's pretty clean. You can see on the backside, this is where your rib cage connects to the meat, to the muscle. Now we're ready to cut steaks. Okay. We're going to cut these things to 16 ounces. We'll cut some nice big steaks. First thing I want to do, I want to just square off my end here so I have a nice clean steak, that first steak. And put that over here. Now, next thing is try to get a nice clean cut down through it, put it on the scale. We're at 18 ounces, which is good. We're a little bit over because what we're going to do, we're going to trim off a little more of that tail. We're going to take a little bit of this fat off the top, and we're at about 16 ounces on that steak right there. We can continue to cut through these steaks. Once again, trimming. Now, when you're buying beef, what you want to look for in beef is marbling. Marbling is the amount of white fat that's inside the muscle. This is what's going to give you tenderness. This is what's going to give you flavor. When you go to the grocery store, look for as much white marbling you can see in those steaks and pick out those steaks. There you go. Let's just get going on these guys here. Well, there's our steaks for our ribeye. So now when you guys go to a restaurant and you're thinking, man, why is that steak so much more outside of all the payroll and the utilities and everything that the restaurants to pay? If you're doing things properly and giving you the best cut of steak you could possibly get, you're going to have a lot of waste, a lot of stuff that's just going to the garbage. All this trim, anything we see here at the restaurant that's in red, we're going to spend our time just taking it all off of it and just simply using or getting rid of any of our fat, but any of our meat, we're going to take off. We're going to go through this. We're going to go through this whole tail section. We're going to trim all this meat out of here, but we still have considerable amount of waste. This chunk right here alone, that's almost 1.25 pounds of just waste. That's we're not going to get a lot out of. We're probably yielding about 2 pounds of waste out of the whole ribeye. But my point is, we're trying to give you a nice trim steak. We're buying quality meat that has lots of marbling in it from a reputable set of ranchers in Creekstone Farms. When you're going out, instead of buying your steaks, look for a whole ribeye or a smaller piece. You can hand cut your steaks. You can take off a lot of the trim, the unusable stuff. You can go through, you can trim out all your fat, get the meat out of there, grind that up, make homemade burgers out of ribeye. There's a lot of things you can do with the trim. You can even melt this down for some beef tallow and use it to fry stuff in. It's all usable at one way or another. Keep an eye on us. Follow our YouTube channel, The Kitchen Raised Me, give you more tips, show you some recipes. We're going to do some behind the scenes of some restaurants. It's going to be a fun thing to do. Did you really think I wasn't going to try this steak? Kirsten.